बलिहार नीलमणि नयन बलिहार तब कृपालु शिव बने शिवानी तब कृपालु शिव बने शिवानी तब कृपालु तब कृपालु शिव बने शिवानी तब कृपालु शिव बने शिवानी कहाँ प्राणा धार नीलमणि Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Shri Raseshwari Radha Rani ki
Jai.
राधे राधे। ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरोर्पदम् मन्त्रं Shastramulam Gururvakyam Bhaktimulam Gurur Kripa Yasyai Shvasitakalmathavalambhya Jivanti Lomavilaja Jagadandanatha Vishnur Mahan Sa Iha Yasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Aho Chitramaho Chitram Vande Tat Prema Bandhanam Yad Baddham Muktidam Muktam Brahma Krida Bhrigi Kritam Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagvangha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukchurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Dear devotees, let us do a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, and after that I'll be answering your questions. Radhe 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 Shri Radhe
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 Radhe Radhe Radhe Shri
Radhe Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe 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 Shri Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe Shri 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 Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe Shri 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 Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe Radhe Shri Radhe
अलबेली सरकार की Thank you to those who sent in questions for today's session. For those who are here at the intensive, this 11 a.m. session will only be happening on Sundays during the intensive. Otherwise, we'll be having Maharaj's video lecture and kirtan during this whole morning session. But this is our regular mid-morning Sunday satsang. So we're continuing with that tradition, and we'll just be having it a little shorter than normal. We'll be having the arti at 12 instead of at 12:30. so that we can stick to our intensive schedule. So let me get right to the questions. We'll start with the most technical question of the bunch. Can you go into details of Triguna, Tritaap, and Panchkosh? These are things that Maharaji normally, some of them he just briefly mentions when he's talking about Bhagavad Prapti. He'll say, as soon as with Shri Krishna's grace, with Guru's grace, when the bondage of Maya is eliminated, then you're free from Triguna, Tritaap, Panchklesh, Panchkosh, Trikarma. There's a whole list of types of bondage. So specifically, this person is asking, first of all, about Triguna. Guna means a quality or a virtue, could be good or bad. And specifically, it's referring to Maya. Daivi hyesha gunamayi mama maya. Gita. Shri Krishna says, my Maya is gunamayi. Maya is made of three qualities, three guna. So Shvetashvatropanishad tells us exactly what that is. Ajamekam lohita shukla krishnam vahvi praja srijamanam sarupa. There's the white guna of Maya, the red guna of Maya, and the black guna of Maya. Sattva, Raj, Tam. Ved refers to it with colors. Sattva, Raj, and Tam are also within each other. So within Sat, Raj and Tam are there. Within Raj, Sattva and Tam are there. And within Tam, Sattva and Raj are there. But where Sattva predominates, purity predominates. Where Raj predominates, then passion, selfishness predominates. And where Tam predominates, then laziness and evil predominates. These are the three qualities of Maya, three guna. Each one of us is under the bondage of Maya, which means we're under the bondage of the three gunas of Maya. We see the whole world through that filter. That's why even if a divine saint or God himself comes in front of us, we're completely unable to recognize their divinity because we're viewing everything through that filter of the three guna. Our indriya, our senses, our mind, they themselves are made of the three gunas of Maya. So everything we perceive is through those three gunas. That's why even someone like God or Guru who comes before us and they are not made of Sattva, Raj, Tam. They're made of Sat, Chit, Anand, divine substance, but perceived by us through our three guna, mind and senses, we see them as also being made of three gunas, but they're not. So upon God realization, the Mayic quality of our senses and mind is destroyed and it's replaced with the divine ones. Then we get Indriya, Man, Buddhi, all made of Sat, Chit, Anand, just like God and the saints. So that's Triguna. Tritaap, Tri means three. So Tritaap, Tap means something that burns you. It means three kinds of sufferings that we have in the world. So they are adhyatmic suffering, adhibhautik suffering, adhidaivik suffering. These are the three types of tap. So all the millions of ways that someone can suffer in this world are divided into three categories. The first one, adhyatmic, which is also called daihik. That is the suffering that our body and mind give to us. The pain you get in your body and the pain, your own emotional pain caused by your own mind, that's daihik tap. Then we have adhibhautik tap. That's the suffering that other people, animals, insects, or even poisonous plants or whatever it may be. Other beings give some suffering to us. That's called adhi bhautik. And then adhi daivik suffering is caused by the elements, the weather, natural disasters, that type of thing. So Maharaj also refers to this, saying that upon God realization, your Tritaap is also finished forever, just like your Triguna. Panchkosh, she's also asking about. A kosh, think of it like layers of an onion. You keep peeling away layers until you get to the center. So at the center of our being is the soul, our true self. But there are 5 material layers covering the soul. Kosh means a covering or a layer. So Panchkosh, 5 different layers. And each layer is more and more subtle. So on the path of yoga, it's described in Patanjali Yoga Darshan that through this practice, you gradually pierce those kosh. So you're transcending first the Mayakosh. Mayakosh is your physical body. That's the first and most least subtle covering of Maya. So the person transcends that. The next one is called Prana Mayakosh. Prana Mayakosh is made up of your 5 prana and your 5 karmendriya. I won't get into the details. We don't have time. Next is, the third kosh is Manomaya kosh. That's made up of your man, your emotional mind. The 4th kosh, and more subtle, is Vijnanamaya kosh. That is made up of your buddhi, your intellectual mind, as well as your 5 jnanendriya, 5 senses, subtle senses of perception. And the 5th and final kosh is called Anandamaya kosh. This is your deepest mayic layer of your personality, your ahankar, your sense of self-being. So, on other paths, you have to do certain practices to pierce through these layers, to transcend them. But on the path of bhakti, Jarayatya Shuyakosham Nigirna Manalo Yatha Bhagavatam. Just do bhakti, and the fire of viraha, the fire of longing for Radha Krishna, is going to burn your Panchkosh on its own. You don't have to do any other practice. So simply by doing bhakti, by surrendering to Radha Krishna through the Guru, you defeat Triguna, Tritaap, Panchkosh. We'll add to that Panchklesh. 5 more types of difficulties a person faces. Rag, dvesh, that means love and hate in the world. Abhinivesh, fear of death. Avidya means wrong knowledge, wrong understanding. It means forgetting that you're the soul, thinking you're the body. And asmita, which means identifying with your own ego instead of yourself as a soul. So these are 5 klesh. Klesh means, again, something that causes you difficulty. You defeat all of that just by surrendering to Radha Krishna. 3 karma. That doesn't mean past, present, and future. 3 karma is kriyamana karma, sanchit karma, and prarabdha karma. Kriyamana karma, the karma you're presently doing that God is taking note of. Sanchit karma, the stock of previous karma from all your uncountable past lives. And prarabdha karma, the portion of that past stock that's been given to you to undergo in this life. So you're freed from those 3 karma as well. Upon God realization, all of that happens. Freedom from Maya, freedom from Triguna, Tritaap, Trikarma, Tridosh, Panchkosh, Panchklesh, all just by practicing bhakti. Okay, next question. when things are calm, like in this COVID situation, it's easy to meditate as we don't have to go to work, less hustle and bustle in our life. But when hard things come, I can't think of God. Typically, people say in hard times, people remember God, but it's the opposite for me. And actually, I've seen that in many, it seems to be divided half and half. Some people remember God more easily when times are good, when things are stress-free. I tend to be more like that. And then when things become stressful, then a person forgets God. And then there is another type of person who, when things are good, then they forget about God. And when things become stressful, then they look towards God. So it's just a difference in our personality. It's not something to correct. She's asking any guidance on how to improve. It's not something you need to improve on. It's just something you can notice about your own personality. And of course, whether you're the one kind or the other kind, the goal is to remember Radha Krishna all the time. So that's what we need to improve on. And for that, we already know Maharaj has told us, do Radha breathing throughout the day, and at certain intervals, stop what you're doing and actually visualize God and Guru being there with you just for a few moments, and then go on with your work. So that's it. Another devotee is asking, what to tell family members who eat non-vegetarian foods? They know that it comes under the top 5 sins, but they still do not stop consuming it. So this actually depends on your status in the family. If you're the head of the family, then you decide what gets eaten in your house and what doesn't. I mean, because I don't know this person's age, they could be a son or a daughter, then you can't tell your parents what they can do and what they can't do. But if you're the father or mother, then you decide what gets eaten in your house. So if you're a parent, maybe you can't control what your kids eat when they leave the house, but you can sure control what food enters your house. If the person writing this question is not a parent, then you'll have to just decide for yourself. This is what I will eat, this is what I won't eat. One thing is for sure, family members tend not to listen to other family members if they're being told what to do. So you're telling your family members not to eat non-vegetarian food is probably not going to have any positive effect. But if you just model the proper behavior, if you are firm in your resolve not to eat non-vegetarian food, then that's the best you can hope for as far as you're being able to influence them. They may be influenced by you eventually, but arguing with them won't change anything. Okay, another very practical question. In devotion to Radha Krishna, we know we have to accept Krishna as our Priyatam, which is the highest form of devotion. That means loving Krishna as your beloved. But what relation do we have with Radharani in Madhurya Bhav? So if we have this Madhurya Bhav, it means we're a gopi and Krishna is our beloved. So how to relate to Radharani? So although Radha is Krishna and Krishna is Radha, so by loving Krishna with Madhurya Bhav, you are loving Radha in her form as Krishna with Madhurya Bhav. But one thing to keep in mind is that although this may not be politically correct nowadays, but it has to do with our inherent qualities as people. In general, in a relationship, a woman will be slightly quieter and the man will be more in charge, right? The woman will be more humble. This is just in general, the world over. This is how our psyche works. So in devotion as well, when we see ourselves as gopis and Krishna is our beloved, there is an inherent humbleness in our love for Shri Krishna. If we see ourselves as a man who loves Radharani, there's a difference there. So that's why that type of Madhurya Bhav type of relationship with Radharani has not been taught by Shri Maharaj Ji. He taught to think of Radha as your mother, Think of her as your best friend. You're a gopi. She is your beloved. Both you and Radha have the same beloved, Krishna. Your best friends, like that, something like that. But the Madhurya Bhav, romantic type feelings are for visualizing oneself as a gopi. Whether we're currently in a male or female body makes no difference. We visualize ourselves as a gopi, and we love Shri Krishna with that Madhurya Bhav. And with Radha, think of her as your mother or sister or best friend. Next question. Some devotees undergo ecstasy while others don't during Sankirtan. What's the reason? Are those displaying bhav at a higher stage of sadhana than those who don't? Well, you're right to understand that experiencing certain symptoms of ecstasy is a sign of progress. But that doesn't mean that everyone who's feeling something in devotion will also manifest something physically. Everybody's physiology is different. Everybody's capacity of their nervous system to experience extreme joy or extreme pain without showing it physically is different, right? So one time there was a Sankirtan going on during the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji. And one saint, there were many saints in the Satsang, and there were also some ordinary devotees. So some of these saints were actually, due to the effect of the Sankirtan, they were showing some signs of that prem. Just like Rup Goswami says, Stambha svedo tharomancha swarabhedo thave patuhu. A saint may have their body tremble. They may sweat profusely. The complexion of their face may totally change. The color of their face may change. The quality of their voice may change abruptly. Tears may flow. They may even fall unconscious. These are some of the signs. Even laughing uncontrollably, dancing in ecstasy. These are all possible signs of that unlimited ocean of divine love as it overflows. So in this kirtan that was going on, there were many saints there, and some were showing some of these physical signs. It's called bhav, sattvic bhav. Sattvic, in their case, meaning divya sattva, not the sattvic of this Mayak world. So one devotee was thinking in his mind, oh, these saints are showing these sattvic bhav, and I thought that Jiva Goswami was supposed to be a great saint, and he's not showing any symptoms at all. So another saint in the satsang knew what was going on in that devotee's mind, and he went and just put his hand under where the exhalation from his nose would touch his finger, just like that. And his finger blistered. The air coming out from the viraha he was holding inside was so hot, it blistered his finger. Then that devotee actually saw that happen and said, oh, I made a big mistake, thinking that I can judge devotees by whether they're showing some external symptoms or not. Sure, God-realized saints, if you spend enough time with a true divine personality, you will see some of these symptoms, given enough situations. However, this devotee is asking about us ordinary devotees. So even amongst devotees, these signs may start to show as we progress on the path, and it's a good sign. If we start to feel a thrill in our heart, a melting of our heart, if tears come when we're chanting the divine name, all of these are good signs, and we aspire to see these develop in us. We feel happy when this happens because we know this means we're making progress. We're receiving the grace of a true saint, and we're correctly following his instructions for the practice of sadhana. These are we want to experience this. However, we can't judge others by seeing who's crying, whose body is trembling. Oh, this person must be higher, this person must be lower. A person could be feeling a lot, but they just have a capacity to contain that, and it doesn't show on the outside. And another person could be having a comparatively, although we don't compare ourselves to other devotees, but comparatively another devotee could be having a more mild experience, but showing a lot. Not that they're showing off, but just their physiology can't contain that. So even a mild experience is outwardly expressed. It really depends on the person. So don't compare yourselves to others, but you can assess yourself and you can aspire to have these sattvic bhav start happening in you. If it does happen, it's good. But of course, Shri Maharaj Ji says, gopaniyam. You should try to conceal it without ruining your devotional mood. Don't just focus on, oh no, I have to conceal it and forget about doing devotion. But do make some effort to conceal it. Don't make an exhibition of it, is the way we should say it. We don't want to disrupt what's going on in the satsang or other devotees sitting around us, and we don't want to increase our own false pride of thinking we're a good devotee and have everybody see that we're a good devotee. Two questions left. Okay, this question is a long one, so I'm just going to paraphrase. This devotee is asking about, and I put off answering this question for a couple of weeks, but today I'm going to speak about it. The reason I put it off is because, well, I'll explain in a minute. He's asking about an apparent contradiction. Like sometimes it's said that Vallabhacharya was a Jagadguru, and sometimes it's said that he wasn't a Jagadguru. Now the fact is, he had a similar status as Jagadgurus because he wrote a bhashya on Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, Gita, Bhagavatam, just like other Jagadgurus did. So when we talk about the Jagadgurus, we often do include Vallabhacharya because we say the Advaitvad of Jagadguru Shankaracharya, the Dvaitvad of Jagadguru Madhvacharya, Vishishtadvaitvad of Jagadguru Ramanujacharya, Dvaitadvaitvad of Jagadguru Nimbarkacharya, and then we include the Vishuddhadvaitvad of Vallabhacharya. But technically he wasn't a Jagadguru. He wasn't given the title of Jagadguru as the others were. But since he's often included in that discussion, so people started referring to him as a Jagadguru. But that's not the question. The question is so this devotee is saying, sometimes I hear Maharaji say one thing in one lecture and something almost the exact opposite in another lecture. So the reason that I was putting off answering this question or considering not answering it at all is what kind of fool am I to think I'm going to explain what Maharaji means about something. Maharaji's divine intellect is perfect and everything he says is perfect and supported by the scriptures, and he doesn't need anybody explaining him or making reasons for him. So that's not my intention here, but my intention is that knowing that we devotees with our material intellect, we sometimes do get fixated on the wrong thing. So this devotee, I would say to you personally, because I know you're watching this, you're fixated on the wrong thing. Fixate on what Maharaji told us to do. How to do sadhana. What do you have to practice every day? And where are your shortcomings? Become fixated on that. Become fixated on the fact that Maharaji is always with you and Radha Krishna love you more than anything in the world. Fixate on that. Why are you looking for little details from this lecture and that lecture or that book that don't line up exactly in your mind, in your limited material mind, and then fixating on that and saying, oh, how can I have faith in Guru when I'm seeing these apparent contradictions? It's a completely wrong path to go down. Maharaji himself has said that the Varni, the Vakya of scriptures, God and saints, it's divine. So we shouldn't apply our intellect in trying to judge the level of these divine writings or divine lectures. We should just take the part that's for us. How do we apply it in our life? How do we live by that? And then take the benefit. Otherwise, if we allow our intellect to go down, as we say, go down that rabbit hole, well, there is no coming back from that. So save yourself from that waste of energy and damaging intellectual activity and just focus on what you have to do. And the last question for today is about Roop Dhyan. What if I can only visualize the still form of Radha Krishna as a murti? I am unable to create a live image in my mind as I only see in the murti form. Is that something normal? Will it progress to having a live interactive experience in Roop Dhyan? Yes, this is very normal. In fact, I would say that you're very lucky that you can visualize Radha Krishna. Maybe you haven't gotten to the stage yet where they've come to life in your Roop Dhyan, but you can at least see them. There are some people sitting here who can't do that. So wherever you are in your progress with your Roop Dhyan, it's the effort that counts. Somebody might be trying to see Radha Krishna and they can't, but they can kind of sense their presence. Keep trying over and over. Maharaj said, if you try 50 times to see Radha Krishna in your Roop Dhyan and you see them once, he said that's a success. Tomorrow you'll try 50 times and you'll see them twice. You'll keep progressing like that. But one thing you can do, maybe look for more incremental progress. So instead of saying, okay, I can see Radha Krishna, but for me they're just murtis, they're not alive or moving. So instead of trying to jump to that point, why not just take one small step? We can all do that together. Let's close our eyes and see Radha Krishna. And if you're seeing them just as still, as a murti, just notice that that murti's eyes blinked. And they're moving their eyes ever so slightly. Looking at you, looking towards each other. And now you also notice that there's a very subtle, mild upturning of the corner of the mouth. So the corners of the mouth of Radha Krishna are starting to lift in a very mild smile. Like you're looking and you're thinking, is this murti smiling at me? And you can also just notice that their hair is slightly blowing in the breeze. And when Radha turns her head even slightly, her ear pendants, halke, they just slightly start moving, shimmering as they move, just with the slightest movement of her head. And you can even notice that as they're breathing, their chest is rising and falling. So in this way, you can go from that perfectly still image of Radha Krishna that you may start with, and you just gradually start adding in elements, very simple things that you can just focus on, like the eyes or the mouth, and start infusing that life into your Rup Dhyan. And eventually, through this practice, it will become natural. So let us spend, well, before we finish with some kirtan and meditation, was there anyone else sitting here right now who had a question come up that I can answer before we do the kirtan? Okay, so let's keep practicing Rup Dhyan as we just were, with your own personal touch, according to your own relationship with Radha, Krishna, and Shri Maharaj Ji. And we'll do some kirtan. गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण
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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे गोविंद गोविंद
राधे गोविंद गोविंद गोपाल राधे कृष्ण
गोविंद गोविंद
Krishna
Gopal Radhe Krishna
Gopal Radhe Krishna
Gopal Radhe Krishna
Govinda Govinda Gopal Radhe Krishna
Govinda Govinda Gopal Radhe Krishna
Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda Gopal Radhe Krishna
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 Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe Govinda Govinda
Radhe Govinda Gopal Radhe Krishna
Govinda 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 Govinda Gopal Radhe Krishna
बोलो श्यामा श्याम की Before we do the arti, I'll just make a couple of announcements. The next session will be here in the hall at 2:30. So let's all try to be present for the beginning of Kirtan at 2:30. If you need to take some rest, you'll have lots of chance after lunch, so take advantage of that rest time if you need it. Otherwise, if you don't need that rest time and you're looking for some physical seva, you can come to the kitchen and help with the lunch cleanup and also dinner preparation. And do keep in mind, of course, we'll be supplementing with additional volunteers. So, for instance, I've been assigned for Wednesday lunch cleanup for the last 4 months. So I don't get a chutti during the intensive because, there's other volunteers to take care of it. So if you've been assigned to that time, you still should show up unless there are certain people who are doing more strict social distancing and not coming in the crowd. In that case, of course, you can just inform us and we'll cover for you. But otherwise, if that isn't the case, please do stick to your original cleaning and cooking schedules. As far as us going for the meals, since we're having people standing there and serve us so that we're not all going and touching the same serving spoon, that means that those people have to stand there for the whole meal. So we should go and eat at the correct time so that we're not coming we're going to start lunch just now in 15 minutes. If somebody comes at 1:30 and thinks they're going to get lunch an hour and 15 minutes after the actual lunchtime started, how's that possible? How long do you expect the servers to keep standing there? And then if we don't follow that protocol of we don't touch the serving spoons, only the servers touch the serving spoons, if that protocol breaks down, then why have the protocol at all? So only the servers should be touching the serving spoons, which means we have to be there at the right time to eat. It doesn't matter if it's inconvenient for you. It's more inconvenient for the servers. So please do be there for the correct times for all the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or you may find that you'll be fasting on that particular occasion. So let us, Pranay, any other announcements? Okay, so let us all stand for the arti. किशोरी दास गा सकते हैं. Okay.
जयति जगद्गुरु गुरुवर की, गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की, गाओ गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की। गुरु पद नख मणि चंद्रिका प्रकाश, जाके उर बसे ताके मोह तम नाश। जाके मात नाथ तब हाथ करवास, ताते होए माया मोह सब ही निराश। पावे गति मति रति राधावर की, गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की, गाओ गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की। अरे मन मोड़ छाड़ नारी नरहार, गुरु बिनु ब्रह्म श्याम हो न देंगे साथ। कोमल कृपालु बड़े कृपा सिंधु नाथ, पाके ने आज तू अनाथ हो सनाथ। इन्हीं के अधीन कृपा गिरिधर की, गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की, गाओ गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की। भक्ति योग रस अवतार अभिराम, करे निगमागम समन्वय ललाम। श्यामा श्याम नाम रूप लीला गुण धाम, बांट रहे प्रेम निष्काम बिनु दाम। हो रही सफल काया नारी नर की, गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की, गाओ गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की। लैली लाल लीला का सलोना सुविलास, छाया दिव्य दृष्टि बिच प्रेम का प्रकाश। वैसा ही विनोद वही मंजू मृदुहास, करे बस बर बस उच्च अट्टहास। झूमी चले चाल वही नटवर की, गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की, गाओ गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की। जयति जगद्गुरु गुरुवर की, गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की, गाओ गाओ मेली आरती रसिक वर की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। दुहुन सिर कनक मुकुट झलके, दुहुन श्रुति कुंडल भल हल के। दुहुन दृग प्रेम सुधा छलके, चसीले बैन रसीले नैन, रसीले सैन धुन मैनन मनहारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। धुन दृग चितवनी परवारी, धुन लट लट कनी छवि न्यारी, धुन भाव मटकनी अति प्यारी। रसन मुख पान हसन मुस्कान, दसन दम कान धुन बेसर छवि न्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। एक उर पीतांबर फहरे, एक उर नीलांबर लहरे, दुहन उर लर मोतिन छहरे। कान कनन खनक खीन खिनिन झनक, नूपुरुन भनक दुहन रुन झुन धुनि प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। एक सिर मोर मुकुट राजे, एक सिर चूनरी छवि छाजे, दुहन सिर तिरछे भल ब्राजे। संग ब्रज बाल लाडली लाल, बाह गल डाल कृपालु धून मृगचारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। आरती प्रीतम प्यारी की बनवारी नथवारी की। मत प्रियान राधिका प्रियान, मद्धवो राधिकाधवः। तस्मादपि गरीयान्यो कृपालुर्मे जगद्गुरु। गुरुं भजति श्रीकृष्णः, श्रीकृष्णं भजते गुरु। सिद्धान्ततस्व भेदेऽपि कृपालुर्मे गुरुर्महान्। अशरण शरण महाप्रभु, तुम स्वामी हम दास। कीजय कृपा कृपालु मम, दीजे गुरु सहवास। तुम दीनन रखवार हम, अहंकार अवतार। अस करु कृपा कृपालु अब, दीन बनु सरकार। हाँ पतित जो पतित न पुहि मान, ऐसे पतित विचित्र को पावन करूं तब जान। सबे भिखारी जगत के, जेतिक नातेदार। दिव्य प्रेम आनंद के तुम एक साहूकार। बोलिए श्रीमद् सतगुरु सरकार की, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की, श्री रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की, जगद्गुरु श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की, श्री राधा माधव धाम की। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे।